Reading my mind.
Here we go.
All right. So, greetings, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are here with Conscious Community today, here based out of Pueblo, Colorado, and connecting with you. Maybe not literally live on the call, but in dream time when this lands in your timeline, in your moment, and you have an opportunity to hear what we're talking about and who is around that is caring about ways we can connect. And so today we have Meral Sarper, a very good friend and awesome leader here in town in Pueblo, Colorado, on planet Earth at this time. And one of the many things we'll be talking about is her book called Cosmic that just came out this year, supported and edited by Dr. Kelly here on the call as well. And I got to read the book, just finished it last week, and it is fun. It is interesting. I totally visualize it will be a movie someday. And so it's the next Harry Potter series, if you will, in a very cosmic kind of way. Teaching people about many healing modalities. It was integrated into the book, and so we'll be talking about that and many things. I already have a lot of questions, but also before we go into that, just wanted to mention that next month on May 2nd, we have Melinda Chester. Am I saying that right? And she's going to be talking about my father is my greatest teacher, being a death doula with family. And so, feeling into what that means, we have had many conversations about conscious living and dying, and working with Melinda on a previous workshop, the death doula training this past fall. I am really looking forward to that, and I imagine you all will get a lot of powerful information and a very, very heartfelt first person experience to help process a lot of what goes on during this time of transition. And so that will be May 2nd. And then just another note on the Pueblo Food Project. I'll have a link here for Pueblo Food Project, and the website for Pueblo Food Project is pueblofoodproject.org. And just being aware that we all have a way, whether we have an hour a month or many more hours, to actually be in the garden. Maybe you can be on a Zoom call with a committee. There's several committees. Maybe you can offer contributions financially, or you can offer time in your local garden and share about that, so people are learning that there's many different gardens going and we're helping each other learn a new way to relate with the earth. And Pueblo Food Project is an overall, as we talked about last month, or 2 months ago, an overall way of organizing that for the community, but we want to reach that out in many ways to collaborate. And so many people here on this call have already been big supporters, and there's so much more to come with that. And so later on, Gregory will be sharing some different things to be excited about as well. So we have a great call coming on right now. And to get us arriving into our space, we have some lyrics here in the chat to a song called The Power of Now is Here Now. And so as we breathe together, may we find ourselves in an opportunity to see these lyrics. It's a really easy chorus to catch on to. And you could either sing with us, Meral and I were going to open up with this, or you can just receive the vibrations and feel into this moment together. So let me start this. Let me know if you cannot hear it. And we're just going to sing that first part. Feeling our community connection.
The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on us. The power of love is here now. Power of now is here now. Power of you and me is here to create magic on us. Power of love is here now. Power of now.
So thank you for arriving together in this space. Thank you for being here and bringing all your good vibes, good energy into this moment together. Meral?
Awesome. Yeah, that's an amazing song. I'll type it in the chat really quick. It's by Alexia Chelin. I remember when I first heard it, I listened to it on repeat, and the full song is really beautiful. There's a little bit more lyrics, and it's called The Power of Now. And I think, just to follow up with that, I think that those lyrics are so relevant to what we're experiencing right now. I think despite it's been challenging, frustrating, and upsetting, that sometimes we don't even know what the next rules are going to be, the next restrictions. As a teacher, we're constantly like, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. We're just building the airplane as it's flying. And then it applies to other realms of society too, with the last year of the global shift, as I call it. And despite that it has been frustrating, it's also been a blessing and a gift, because it's forcing us to, and we can now choose to be in the present moment, because we have to, and because we've co-created, and I truly do believe it, at this higher perspective, we have co-created this last year, regardless of what may or may not have caused XYZ, it's still all co-creation. And so there was a calling out for our collective consciousness to put the brakes on, go in reverse, check out what systems we have that work and don't work. And really, in the end, I think it's created more freedom to be like how we're here today. I do look forward to the day when we can do these meetings more often in person, or maybe hybrid, where we kind of alternate in person, not in person. And really, it's a gift, because we're also being taught that we can be together in consciousness without having to be together physically. And so that's a great segue. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name is Meral Do Renee Sarper, and I wrote the book Cosmic, that actually technically published very end of 2020 with the amazing help of Dr. Kelly and my friend Dylan Zavala as well as all my friends and family who supported me in the process. And the book really goes into that topic of that we can be connected in consciousness, no matter where our physical part of our body is. And perhaps there's even beings out there that aren't even physical. So I'm going to jump right in with just explaining a bit more about who I am, take a step back, and then I'll go into explaining a little bit with the book, read to you a cool declaration / poem that's in the beginning of the book. And the whole rest of it after that, I really want to be organic conversation and discussion. So I'll be pausing, asking questions that are actually from the book as well, the questions for reflection that are part of the book. And at any point, even when I'm not posing a question, please feel free to put something in the chat, or even just unmute or raise your hand and to get into, I don't know if you can raise your hand on here, or you can just unmute. It's such a small group. I'm fine with that. So please know that I'm the type of speaker that definitely welcomes that. So to give you a little bit about who I am, a lot of you have met me, but who am I? Who I am is a powerful stand for humanity and Earth ambassador to the cosmos. That is really who I am. And then to ripple out some details of that, I am also a teacher. Before I became a teacher in the last few years, in a charter school right now, and at CSU Pueblo, I worked as an engineer. and started off wanting to be an astronaut for the longest time. And that makes sense because for me, my personal belief is that my spirit came from outside of this earth. So it made sense to me when I finally realized the spiritual yearning for a part of that dream was to be an astronaut, was to go back to the stars. But after putting quite a bit of time into aerospace engineering minor, I switched that from a minor in aerospace engineering to sustainable development and a major in mechanical engineering. And I got to explore that field for a while, sustainability, green buildings, and that opened the door for me to teach that topic, CSU Pueblo, experience teaching, and then realize I love it, just like my dad, who was also a teacher at CSU Pueblo, Dr. Hussein Sarper. And teaching has been a really powerful outlet for me. Just to quickly share, I have been going through a lot of personal turmoil with, can I keep teaching even while these restrictions are placing on us? Because it looks like they're unfortunately maybe not even going to go away as they are. I don't need to go into the details with that. And just in the last couple weeks, along with my partner, I've come to the conclusion that no matter what, I am in for the long haul. I am teaching. I had a few moments there last month where I was like, well, if they keep making us do X, Y, Z, then I'm going to quit. And now I'm just like, I talk to my fellow teachers and principal about this, and we're completely transparent with each other. And I realize, no, they're completely worth it. And that's what I'm going to pose a lot in this conversation today and talking about the book, because the biggest inspiration I'd say is for writing it was to create something that was totally new for young people to explore with, since the book is appropriate for ages like 13, 12, even 12 or 13 and up, and grade 6 and up. Most of the readers now are adults, but some young readers are reading it now too. So that's a little bit about me. I'm from Pueblo, and always, for the most part, been in Colorado, and absolutely love the energy here. I love the energy vortex that we have here that's both powerful and challenging at times. And I discussed that a little bit in the book Cosmic as well. And Pueblo gets a little mention in it. And the reason why I'm here today is one, to learn, because I know I'll learn a lot from our discussion today, and to offer some things that I have learned, and also what I consider channeled kind of through me for the book as cosmic wisdom. So I'm gonna give you a little background of the book and read to you, I'll share my screen in a moment, a declaration that'll kind of set the tone for the whole rest of the discussion. So this book, as Barbara told me I should do, is published. I did all the art in it is made by me. This is a picture of a portal that the 7 sisters open up in chapter 3. And the book, as it says in the back, is about 7 women who must unveil the truth for humanity to awaken. And we ask these questions: what would it take to connect openly with cosmic family, disclose zero-point energy and technology, end the concept of suicide on Earth, and the concept of suicide? Big. 7, and then 7 spiritual sisters will answer these questions as they embody a chakra of our collective rainbow body on Earth. So there's 7 sisters, and they each represent a different chakra of the energy system. If you're aware of this concept, each of our major glands and organs are actually tied to a major bundle of nerves along the center of our physical body column. And in a lot of ancient indigenous esoteric teachings, they call those the chakras or wheels of light. So I decided to make each of the sisters actually embody each of those chakras. So basically the protagonist, Jade Kelly, if you guys choose to read the book, is a lot of it. A lot of the things I write about with her are processing a lot of real experiences I had. So I identify most with Jade, who represents the heart chakra. So I'm going to share my screen now and share with you a declaration that's at the beginning of the book. And you guys, I think, will really resonate with it, especially you guys here on the call. Here we go. You guys should be able to see that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start and jump right in so that will give you a little bit of context and inspiration for the book. No matter the question, love is the answer. Gail Goodwin. In my pursuit and exploration of quantum spirituality, cosmic is what manifested. Mission of cosmic. I create art of the imagination that actually magnetizes possible timelines into the reality I exist in. The stories bring healing and insight to my fellow Earth family about honoring healing and creating empowerment. Opening, a declaration. I declare, we are waking up, integrating all parts of me into wholeness for all of eternity, into this never-ending story and journey. We are in the first few cosmic minutes of the celestial alarm clock blaring, becoming hard to ignore. We can no longer hit the snooze button. We are getting out of bed and into action, healing ourselves in the process, and pounding down the doors of those still snoozing. We are going to reach tipping point after tipping point. We have already powered through many key choice points and timeline shifts already. Despite the feeling of impossibility at times, we must remember we have never been more equipped to create peace, humanity. We have heart-guided intuition, energy work modalities, technology, the internet, and all tools of spirit and science to heal the earth. To some, I am a naive optimist, but I consider myself a heart-centered realist. The possibilities I'm calling into being in this novella are not far-fetched. In fact, they're all based on my own life experience. Each of the 7 sisters are based on powerful women in my life. I infused into cosmic everything I had learned from my teachers like my parents, Hussein and Annette Sarper, my sister Layla Sarper, and many other friends and teachers like Tiana Galgano, Linda Weiner, Kiera King, Dr. Kelly Gelhoff, Dylan Zavala, Dr. Stephen Greer, and Ricardo Gonzalez. I've also had many premonitions that correlate with other thought leaders' visions. Now, leading up to 2027, the world is going to rapidly shift. The issues are complex, but the solutions are simple. We can harmonize ancient wisdom and the power of community with modern tools of technology and internet unity. We can use technology mindfully so it only enhances our abilities rather than create more addiction, more control, or become a crutch. We can and we will create a world of greater peace and resonance. The power of media is immense. The power of the internet is immense. We must use it wisely. The power of love is the greatest. We must employ it abundantly. We magnetize possible realities into existence through loving, heart-centered intention. While it is possible to warp reality through technology and control, in the end, love always wins. I poetically declare, the world we live in this right now moment, is ready to let go of hate and fear and all that which does not serve us. So ready, eternally ready. Many know it consciously, and many, perhaps you too, are ready even if you don't know it. It is the energetic time for light to balance in harmony with dark. We have been working at it for millennia, and now our position in the galaxy is prime for it too. Peace is no place to get to. It is a place to be from, and peace is right now. Violence may need to bubble up, and corrupt systems may need to fall down in a messy fashion. These systems are like a poorly engineered house of cards stuck together by superglue, and the superglue is becoming brittle. And the more we love, and the more we don't buy into the perceptions that are fed to us, and the more we revel in the beauty of life and in the awe of other humans, the house will fall and compost. We will see There is so much more to life. We have been distracted from the real beauty, like staring at a tall tower for thousands of years along with the masses and watching it fall, then witnessing the beautiful open fields of infinity that were there all along. They've been all around us, but we've been so caught up in the drama of making each other wrong. That one day is now. It just doesn't seem like it yet. We are building up to the next bigger shift. Earth will be completely new. We can and will heal our planet, our home. We will utilize tools like permaculture, hemp, soil regeneration, and countless other natural solutions. They will emerge from our inherent love for each other. Groundbreaking technologies like zero-point energy will be brought to light as we find the zero-point field within our own hearts. Technologies that access the vast and abundant field of energy that is present and accessible in every square inch of space-time, known quietly among secret government projects as zero-point energy, will begin to emerge, and it will do so as we find the zero-point field within our own hearts. Pure love, present and accessible every single moment when we choose to access such energy. The unveiling of corruption, yes, but an even greater unveiling is taking place. The unveiling of our own inner greatness. People are waking up to their own greatness, as well as their love for humanity. And that peace is a solution we have been fighting for. So why not forego the fighting and just allow peace? To the 20 and 30 somethings, teens, tweens, and children, we are the leaders. I believe it in my electromagnetic heart. The moment you do too, the moment you start visualizing in your mind the future you want for your life and for life itself and for all of Earth and humanity, you just created it in a possible realm of infinity. The goal being to draw that future into this current realm. We have been fearing the future for too long and manifesting exactly what we don't want. Time to focus on what we want, not what any control force may want. Focus on peace and love and acknowledge the bad we do not want. Thus, I am declaring powerfully now, humanity is ready. We see the purpose of who we are for Earth, as Earth. We are the emanation of peaceful love, excited curiosity, play, fun, and ease. The light and darkness in me sees, honors, and is one with the darkness in you, with the light and darkness in you. Namaste. Thank you all for listening. And I'd love to just jump right in and just hear anything that may have resonated for you in what I just read and what I declared. And you guys can feel free to just unmute or type it in the chat if you feel more comfortable doing that.
I just want to share what a declaration. Boy, is that inspiring. I'm definitely going to get more of these. I'm going to send them to my relatives, the young ones, because it's so, so important to start to validate. There's such a gap. There's such a gap between generations. The book I'm working on is more for the people in my generation. It's more a practical tool talking about things like quantum physics and that 0-point gravity and but making it a little bit simpler. You're taking it the next level for the leaders, the future leaders, and I love it. It's a beautiful vision. Makes my heart just melt. Thank you. It's very, very hopeful. I love it.
And I see you have the book there. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna get that time.
Meral?
Yes.
It's Gregory. Well, one of the questions that I had for afterwards, I was at an amazing dinner party, which was a really weird experience because I haven't been with people at a dinner party in a while. And the question one is, I struggle with this issue of being conscious and being present. And I find many times, and it's something that I'm trying to define, but you talk about, wanting to hit the snooze button. And I find that there are so many times where people are conscious, but they're not present. And with this conversation at dinner, kind of then moved into war, which of course was interesting. And this discussion about gender and why men have fought the wars and why, you know, women are the ones that carry the capacity for birth. And I mean, the questions just were all revolving around in where that power lies. And of course, war is always about power. Someone's got to have it. Someone's got to lose. And the notion that men are always going to war, women are the ones that really always have had, you know, the intrinsic power, you know, for birth and for light. And so, you know, all of these things are just swirling around, and some of them have pushed me further. But then, of course, I'm always a chronic student, so I'm looking for opportunities to learn. But, you know, this whole notion about, especially now, reimagining the future, because I'm seeing it daily with just agendas at meetings, where a year ago, some things would have never been on the agenda. And now they are, because we really are looking, hopefully, you know, we're being present and conscious at the same time. So I'm kind of circling around in that area, and any insight would be very, very helpful for where I'm going. So
yeah. I have the same struggle. I think you and I are very similar in that we have a lot to share and a lot to offer, because sometimes we just see things clearly. And one thing I've been personally working on, despite I have been raising my voice more, especially with publishing a book, is receiving more, is listening more. And I think that's how we move from just being conscious to also present. That's what I've been personally working on and noticing myself sometimes just sharing like a fire hose of information, and I'm not really being present to what other people are sharing or how they're receiving it. And so I've been really working on that. So if that offers anything for you, just sharing from my personal journey, that definitely has been helping. If I notice that, I'll sometimes pull back. And if the person seems open, I'll even say like, I'm noticing I'm sharing a lot right now, so I'm going to pull back, and I'd love to hear any thoughts you have. And just really being present to that. And sometimes receiving more than always responding has been helpful in terms of the dinner party concept conversation, since that's a big part of how we create our world is through conversation. So, and I see thank you. And I see Dr. Kelly commented.
Yeah, I don't mind speaking up. I just wanted to capture my notes before they escaped me. And just being so close to the story and then backing away and now seeing it fresh for the first time helped me like see the energy of yin and yang, like the pull and push of balancing the masculine and feminine in our world and within our hearts, and in our leadership style. And just thinking about how much we have shifted since maybe the 90s and forward, with instead of just doing everything about the light, but acknowledging the darkness is part of the healing process, and how we have to stop stigmatizing the darkness within us, because we never will find the communal healing without that trust and transparency. Like in the book, there's a place where there's a trauma that's surfaced, and it's like everyone has the skeletons in the closet kind of feeling. And so it's sort of that unearthing of what is hurting us from our past that cause us to hurt others, like how to not recreate trauma. And I also kind of joked about hitting the self-destruct button, like as humans, that we're like, we're gonna go extinct anyway.
Right.
I'm out of here. Where's my eject button on this spaceship Earth? And how many of us are feeling the pressure from Age of Aquarius to really root into what does peace on Earth look like, because we're here and now able to see it is not going to stay the same. And this whole carbon to crystalline conversation around our bodies, and how our awareness of our energy bodies is growing in general.
Yes. Thank you. Dr. Kelly, obviously being the lead editor, she knows a lot of what's in the book. And I do talk about some, and I love it because through fiction, you can kind of talk about things because it's fiction. For me, are truths, but I can put them in there as things that are just planting seeds or exploration for others that may read it. And I feel like that's a more loving way to introduce topics sometimes. And that's why I love the power of fiction. And I want to say, Angelina, thanks for saying what you said at the very beginning about this maybe being like another Harry Potter, because that really meant a lot, also being a Harry Potter nerd. Angelina, I know she wouldn't mind me sharing, she actually had a dream a few months ago before I even finished publishing the book, that we were on a movie set and all this stuff, and it was like seeming like some kind of space related movie, and that really inspired me also to get her sharing that also made me like, maybe it could be, that could be a premonition about this book, because I really would love to do that. I'm actually in conversation with a local group in town to make a short film version of one scene, particularly chapter 3, which I'll actually be sharing a part of it with you as I created a song related to it, where the sisters all open up a portal. First, they open up this 0 point field within their hearts, and they have to get clear in their mission, who they are, and then they're able to actually find that oneness within all space-time to actually open up a portal to travel across the universe. So thank you for saying that, Angelina, and thank you, Kelly and Gregory, for sharing. I'm gonna move on, but if anyone else wants to share again, I'm gonna have another opportunity for that in just a moment. So
I want to just say real quick too, Meral, that it like was a transformative journey to read through it, because it triggered lots of places in me that needed integration. So I just think that is part of the mystical, magical mystery of how all of these pieces connect.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Dr. Kelly was huge. I know it wouldn't have happened without her, especially, and also a few other friends who helped edit, because especially near the end, most of the biggest stuff, movement with the book happened in the last 1 to 2 months. And it was because of constant communication with Kelly, and saying like, what do you think of this? Should I put this? What order should this be in? And just amazing feedback. So thank you so much for that. So I'm going to read over the, yes, ancestral healing is unraveling faster than ever. And so, yeah, I'm going to just read the chapter titles, because I made it so the chapter titles kind of are telling in a very deep way. So chapter 1, beginning at the beginning, remembering where we came from, who are we, 0 point consciousness, sacred geometry within, forgiveness, loving the darkness, big, cosmic family, ancestral healing, the great event of 2025, and gathering of the tribes. So I'm not going to go into each of those chapters, what happens in each of those chapters today, just really one. But as you can see in the titles, they're again, like we talked about just briefly in the introduction, it's really, it's about not only writing this book for enjoyment, and of course self transformation for anyone who reads it, but also I'm actually creating possible timelines, because I do think that we do that with art and media. We create with those things, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. So in the very beginning, I remind people that this book jumps around through space and time and has many strands of consciousness, like a toroidal shape, because it shows that time is really simultaneous, and that perhaps that the way we experience reality is not always what we think. So here, just as I said at the beginning, there are 7 sisters. They're not biological sisters, but spiritual sisters. And they each go through an affirmation. So I'm going to guide us through just without music. These affirmations, if they resonate with you, you can repeat them. You can feel free to unmute if you'd like, or you can stay muted. And then at the very end, I'll show you a snippet of the song I created based on chapter 3 that also includes his affirmations. So if you'd like, bringing in the energy of the sister Violeta Aurelia, You can place your hand on the top of your head, sense the top of your head, and take a deep breath. And out, maybe a couple more on your own as you really just tune into this beautiful part of your body, the crown chakra or corona chakra, and powerfully affirm, I know.
I know.
I like to do 2 fingers either with one hand or even both hands, peace finger fingers put together on the center of your eyebrows. Sensing that beautiful pineal glands, third eye, what even doctors and scientists and psychologists call the psychic gland. What ancients know are super powerful, and just sensing that, maybe giving a gentle massage and powerfully affirming, I see.
I see.
Moving down, I like to kind of hold my palms in front, almost like I'm holding a lotus flower in front of my throat, or you can even hold gently your throat. Sensing that beautiful throat that allows so much for us, breathing, speaking. Our lymphatic area there, and sensing and affirming the affirmation, I speak.
I speak.
And moving down, one hand on top of the other on the center of the upper chest. And affirming as we hold the center of our 0-point field, our electromagnetic field, our heart that starts beating at 6 weeks of age in the womb. Feeling that heart, maybe even sensing the actual heartbeat. Affirmation, I love.
I love.
Moving down just below at the solar plexus, top of the ribs area, to the solar plexus, our center of doing and being in action. Sensing that biggest bundle of nerves in our body. I do.
I do.
Moving down to the belly button area, I'm feeling the beautiful area of digestion, the sacral chakra, and sensing and affirming, I feel.
I feel.
Moving down to the root, womb, pelvic area, right at the groin and crotch area, placing your hands there or hovering it there. Sensing that space of foundation of love and safety. Affirming, I am.
I am.
Go through it one more time, a quicker cadence. You can move your hands or you can just be still as you do this. Breath. I know.
I know.
I
I
see.
see.
I
I
speak.
speak.
I love.
I do.
I do. I feel. I am. Thank you all for listening or participating in that. The purpose of that is to truly align our energy field in that moment. And you'll see if you choose to read the book, I try to find a good balance between representing things in a more esoteric way, but also backing it up with science from the Heart Math Institute and other cutting edge science and noetic science that is starting to affirm using scientific method some of these techniques and truths that indigenous and ancient people have known for a while. So I wanted to read what I read at the beginning, this prologue, and then part of chapter 3 as part of the actual book, and then leave the rest of the time for conversation. So I'm going to read for you now the prologue of the book that is written in the future. As I said, this book jumps around in space and time a lot. And I'm not sure if, one second, let me check on something. There we go. Okay, there was just some background noise, so I just muted a few folks because I was just a little distracted by that. So I'm going to read this for you. Again, it's written in the voice of Jade Kelly Mare. written on J. Kelly Murray's 111th birthday, linear time year 2102 or 2102. Deep down, I always knew we would have disclosure of many earth-changing truths in my lifetime. I mean, after a certain time, it became an inevitability. Then Source stepped in to help us along. Our Star People family was rooting for humanity, and we knew it was only a matter of time before the entire planet woke up to the truth that was being hidden for so many centuries. We are not alone in the universe. We never were. Now in the year 2102, this is an accepted fact. We are part of a galactic, universal, and cosmic family. It's no longer a lingering question as it was when I was born on planet Earth in 1991. The year 1991 is a palindrome, symbolizing the lessons at the beginning are the same as in the end. Now here we are at the beginning, yet again. Another opportunity to grow and evolve. Just as we were in the first 2 decades of the last millennium, when we felt the apocalypse closing in, we began to give birth to so much new life. I remember the dire times that began around the year 2016. Everything was so uncertain. Everything was dramatic. Corruption and greed led the decisions of many in places of power, while climate change threatened the lives and homes of over 1 billion people and many billions of animals. Our Earth, a planet that once suffered greatly, is now a place of thriving, peaceful, fifth-dimensional consciousness that enjoys both zero point and abundant renewable energy that is free for all, a human and animal population living in harmony and resonance with each other and with nature, freedom from disease and poverty, advanced methods of transportation that allow for short travel times around our planet and solar system, and much more. The future is bright. We have reconnected to the ancient wisdom from Atlantis and Lemuria and Egypt and Toltec and more. This knowing is a huge part of who we are now and always will be. As I look back at my 111 years, I feel so accomplished. We did it. We really did it. I remember my rainbow warrior sisters and brothers that were brought together by Source, our guides, and our will to stand for a greater future for humanity. Humanity has finally graduated to a new state of being and consciousness. I feel so proud of us. I know I have fulfilled many of my Earth missions, and thus, soon will come my day when I leave this body in full consciousness. I love my life. I am aware that I am an eternal being, and as such, know that my existence will never truly end. Now, this is my will for my descendants. Remember the missions you created prior to this incarnation and act upon them. Stop at nothing to continue discovering and understanding the cosmos, and connect to people on planets that are waking up as we were on Earth a century ago. Love one another. Strive for peace. They will be the ones holding the space for this fifth dimensional shift to keep building. As for my material possessions, my will is very simple. I leave my estates and physical belongings with my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I trust they will be able to divide it all fairly. I am just a prayer away should they need guidance. We are the ones we have been waiting for. With infinite love, Jade Kelly Mare. So I specifically wanted to ask a question for the group of your thoughts on what it looks like for you in this world that I had a character write about from the future, of what else would it look like for you to have a truly peaceful and just and fair world for all. Like, what would those things look like? I know for some of you that you've shared probably involve lots of food being grown locally. I'd love to hear those things as you visualize them and hear them be spoken into the space.
I'll share if nobody else is going to share. This is a vision. we are all the seekers. We're connected here because we are the seekers. And this vision is such an integral part of the hope and the dream. The key thing for me personally would be in the sacredness of having children. That process, that is a key factor for me that I would love to see thrive. I would love to see the honoring of a child by the whole community. On a concrete level, I've had visions of using local schools and that kind of thing to provide daycare for the community, with the students guided with expert adults to parent those children for free daycare kind of thing, but to begin that process of honoring the sacredness of who we are. And I want to add the other piece that I love about this. The fascination for extra powers are everywhere. The good and bad of it, the abuse of them and the use of them. But nowhere do I see, and this is that use of the vision of who we are, we have that potential. I think this generation, including my age, we're ready for it. I watch TV shows all the time where people are taking light and exuding it and changing things around them with their hands and their thoughts. So I'm ready for it, but nowhere is there a guiding group of literature or art to guide us. How are we going to use these to help each other? I love this book for that reason. I love that you're using these extra powers, the sisterhood, to help each other evolve. And you're describing how they're doing it to help each other find that wholeness and that healing. So bravo for that. I love that piece of it. It's about how to use powers that we certainly can abuse for the good of each other and the evolution. So there's a lot in that, but anyway, yeah, this is a definite dream and a vision. And I see rainbows and waterfalls and people getting along.
Yeah. I love what you shared about that actual idea of integrating more community, having it be so people don't have to feel like they're so on their own, or that single mom who, whatever, she has more support in the community and not have to pay half her paycheck to send them to daycare, or have some kind of more support and balance with our financial system that supports people more, and utilizing structures we have in place, like old buildings, whether they're for schools or not, to actually bring in these children so that they know they are part of this earth, not a burden to the earth. It's something I'm healing in myself, is feelings of being a burden, blah, 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 that came pre-life as well. And I love what you just shared. And I see that a lot with some of the children I teach at school, in feeling like, am I supposed to be here? What's my purpose? So thank you so much for sharing that.
And the collective process of learning what is better for a child, for example, like the old school, it's a field that just has not changed at all. You know, don't spare the rod kind of thing is still active, and it's like so outdated. I mean, it's time to educate on what works. There's so many simple things that can empower a child. And I see it being violated all the time, you know, with parents, unintentionally. It's just a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of skill sets. It's like connecting to that being present, being conscious in the present. What does that mean in the now? You know, and then learning those skills to take our energy in and practicing that, and then releasing it and taking it in and releasing it. The light is showing people's darkness. I see a lot on my websites. Joe Dispenza is another one, a good example. So many people are getting the light, so the darkness, that dark side, is becoming clear, and they're saying, what's happening here? So learning about how that's part of who we are. I love how you included that also. It's quite well balanced. I really like your book, you can tell. Anyway, thanks. I'm excited by it.
Can I pick up on where Barbara left off? Something that from my own experience, and then having, well, for me, there has to be a youth component and an educational component in everything that I do. But one thing that from my own experience, my 7th grade science fair project was called Ken Doll as a Male Chauvinist Pig. And it was the first time that I ever understood what hate is. And it came out of nowhere. And the project was based on gender equity roles in advertising using the Sears and Roebuck catalog, looking at the Easy Bake Oven. And I went all the way to nationals with this. And the thing that changed my life, and something that I wish would happen just for everyone, is that I was interviewed by the LA Times, and I'll never forget the reporter asked me, and he said, you really think outside the box. And I had no idea what he was talking about as a 7th grader, this notion of what the box is. And so when I look in the future and I look at, you know, inequity, and I look at, you know, systemic, everything systemic, this, systemic, that, but this notion that you have to, you know, form or fit into a prescribed quote unquote box was really something that it just changed my whole trajectory. And I think understanding that, what it gave me was just power, and it gave me control and confidence, because, you know, it just came out of nowhere, and it wasn't even part of my construct. So why should it be part of my process? Why should it be a part of who I am? So that to me, but what Barbara was talking about with children, because, when I'm a senior citizen sitting on a porch, I want well-educated leaders, and that has to start when I'm retired, sitting back watching young leaders who would be my leaders. I want them to be intelligent and at least critically thinking and making decisions in a smart way. But and I know childcare, shifting a little bit, we just did Fair Care, and it's possible. We did the Fair Care program from November to January. 300 children that were first responders and essential workers. We managed to get them into classrooms for that whole period. It only cost $11.56 a day. So it can be done. There are ways, and childcare is infrastructure. So that's where we are today. I love. So
that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that story and your perspective on that. And I definitely want to connect with you more about that program you just mentioned. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Can I add one thing there?
Please, yes.
Well, just to that visioning, because I just felt like it was so important, because we are in a time of transition, and so we're hearing these ways that we can start transitioning into Jade Kelly Amare's vision. That was 2025, right?
No, well, 2025 is mentioned in the book, but no, it was 2102. So 110 years from 1991. Yeah.
So
2102.
From this point to there, what kind of changes are going to be taking place in all of us, all forms of life? And so one thing I just wanted to add to this visioning and this feeling is that how do we in our body feel that sense that there is enough for all forms of life? A feeling of trust, a feeling of when Gregory said Ken was a male chauvinist.
Yeah.
For me, I've been thinking about so many of the us and them paradigms, and even for me, it's the 1%ers that I just have some really intense judgment about, to be honest. And to get back into that place of they are me, and they are an expression of me. And so I love them, I trust them, I'm working with them, I'm helping them feel the feeling like there is enough. We don't have to hoard. We don't have to feel like power and dominance is relevant anymore. We can actually feel a sense of trust and cooperation, collaboration, and that feeling can inspire so much of what we will be doing in these next years going forward to Jade Kelly's declaration and gratitude experience. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that opportunity to put that out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Angelina. Yeah, it is a hard thing to see that I'm one with everyone except not those people. Like, that was me, and as I transmuted a lot of anger, especially in 2012, I remember doing a lot of cannabis advocacy and feeling so angry that we still were putting so many people in prison for something that was so helpful. And can definitely be overused, but with proper education not be. And I was so angry at that. And I remember feeling that it wasn't right to feel so angry, that, or it wasn't going to be sustainable, I should say, not that it wasn't right. So I wrote my first forgiveness poem. I wrote it to Harry S. Anslinger. And it's a short little declaration that now I can declare towards anyone, and you can take it too if you'd like. And I just remember it's, to this person or to this man, I can no longer berate, as it propagates a cycle of fear, frustration, and hate. So instead, I declare this new proclamation: I forgive, and I declare all souls emancipation. And so that was so helpful for me. I said it over and over and over again because I was literally just upset at these people whose bodies are dead and in graves now, Harry S. Anslinger and other people who were key in making cannabis unjustly illegal way back then. And that's what it started my journey of forgiveness, which is a huge message in this book. As Kelly mentioned, there's definitely some things in the first part of the chapter of helping stop a cycle of trauma and abuse. And there's a big part where I basically show through two characters, a mother and a daughter, the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian forgiveness mantra. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And so as some of you have said who've read it or are reading it, there's a lot of things that I show how to actually use in the book. And that was direct inspiration from several authors, like the author whose name I'm forgetting right now, who wrote The Celestine Prophecy. I feel like that book and that whole series is a really amazing series if you haven't read it, where they actually show through fiction actual ways to practice certain higher consciousness techniques.
James Redfield.
James Redfield, thank you. And I just wanted to comment on the comments in the chat. Thanks, Angelina and Amy. Yes, no suffering, freedom to be creative, communal progress in space, travel, and communication. Future 2102. Love it. And so because Barbara just brought something up, I won't have time to read a whole nother section, but I love that she mentioned the extrasensory abilities, because that's another huge part of the book of Cosmic as well. And I made this art from just a little picture I took and added that light emanation filter on my hand. And it's a chapter photo for chapter 9, ancestral healing, which was also mentioned by Kelly, ancestral healing. So if you guys resonate with, I'll just say what the affirmation and lesson is, and then just summarize what happens in the chapter, rather than read it, so that you can maybe read it later. But I felt like I needed to bring it up because we're also talking about specifically patriarchal healing with what some of you have mentioned in Gregory, and this is huge in this chapter. So this chapter's affirmation is, I honor those who live before me and those who will live after me. And the cosmic lesson demonstrating the chapter is, as we heal our now moment, we heal the past and future too. So the concept of, you can't change the past is the past. And in some level, I think in a physicality sense, that may be true, but how are we unraveling the energetic signature, the consciousness aspect of the past? In a sense, even quantum physics is finding perhaps time is simultaneous. So perhaps we do change the past as we change our now, and we change the future, it ripples out in that way. So I'll just quickly explain what this chapter is about, and I really invite you to read the book and read it. But a big reason I also wrote this book was that I experienced a really big tragedy last September, where my son's father and my friend, we were no longer together at the time, but as a couple, but still definitely friends. We'd come to a place of healing, but unfortunately his battle with depression had become too great, and he did die by suicide in September of last year. And it was so challenging for me, and had to process through feelings of guilt and shame. And then it just further inspired me to finish the book. I was already in the process of writing it for actually quite a while. And I already, and he knew this too, had one of the guiding questions was, how can we end the concept of suicide on Earth? Of not the concept of someone like Jade, I explained at the beginning, someone who's had an amazing, empowering life, and they're choosing to leave their body in full consciousness. I believe that is distinct from this concept of shameful, self-hating, fearful suicide. And so in this chapter, I discuss the character who's actually modeled after what I hope my son can grow into. He's the Secretary General of the UN in this chapter. It's in the year 2041. And he cries in front of everyone. He says, "Oh, I'm a man crying in public. Isn't this crazy? That I'm a man crying in public. This would have never happened in many decades ago." And then he shares about his experience of his father dying by suicide and healing through that, as well as bringing up another man from his men's healing circle he talks about that he's leading, who also had his father die by suicide. And that was actually a story I shared with permission and changed some details and names from a friend of mine whose father really did die by suicide. So I just wanted to call in this chapter to especially people here on the call or anyone listening in the future, because it actually marks, as you see here in the first paragraph, last year we marked History for Humanity. There were no recorded suicides on planet Earth. So I will gladly put my word on the line here. I do intend that we can have the massive transformational breakthroughs we have to literally create a world where by 2040, there are no recorded suicides on this planet. That's a huge goal. I know that's especially in a year where we just saw suicides go up. But that's a big, big thing. And I wanted to personally share that experience of mine too, that I went through, because it was a huge part of catalyzing me to say, you know, I need to finish this book. I need to get this out there, because it's not my book. When I catch myself saying my book, I always try to reframe it as this is cosmic. This is a co-creation, because so many guides and friends and family spoke through me through this book. And also it's a creation for all to heal. So diverting from my original plan a bit, I'd love to hear what you all think about this concept of healing, the concept of suicide on Earth, and perhaps share any experiences you would feel comfortable to share related to that topic as well.
Well, Meral, I'm in the middle, having just published Hanging in the Moonlight, which Carol Fortino was on the last call. It's now being released globally. I'm pleased to say that I just returned from Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and a filmmaker has taken on the book. And we're working on, because she used 21 chapters, 21 different stories of suicide, cultural, age, rural, urban. She covers it all. They're all true stories, but she got permission to change the names to make them, you know, so they remain anonymous. But this whole notion of how hard it is just to even have a conversation to begin with is where we need to really, on one level, start. But boy, I love that vision. And just that notion of how words really matter in terms of how on a piece of paper you say how someone died. But going back to the very, very beginning, you know, these are the questions that I don't know what the answers are. This filmmaker has been looking for a project like this, but it needs to happen. And, you know, kudos to you and congratulations for the declaration, which, gosh, it would be so wonderful in 2040 if that could be a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. That's just what came through when I was writing. But wow, thank you. That's another thing I need to touch base with you offline, because that's super powerful. And I definitely know I need to read that book. So thank you for your work on that and her work.
And I'm going to add, working with addictions, and I have for about 20 years, and I'm working at the mental health hospital. What I see is needed, and AA sort of downloaded, I think, some valuable information from a future world, because the information there is about a spiritual connection. And I think as this is emphasized and becomes more, as we return to this in a new way, instead of through a narrow focus, a religion, let's say, or a specific format, just that broad, we have within us, I know physics, quantum physics is preparing us for this. When we start to live that reality, that we are all connected, and that darkness of suicide, that absolute despair that's described in the big book, that darkness of despair and shame and guilt, that in that moment, it's just, there's no sense going on. that darkness would be softened by regular practice in family, in community, in schools, of connecting, spiritually through the arts, through music, through knowledge, through talking about it, through saying, I have this feeling today, and sharing that and that openness. I can see it being eliminated, absolutely. And I think dying, choosing to die is very different, you're right, than suicide. But I think I'm very comfortable with that process and that thought. However, I just think that as we become connected and whole in our truth, as that happens more and more, the thought of suicide is going to be archaic. I'm really hoping so. Because if you are whole and we are these radiant light beings and we're all walking each other home, we can still have our fears, we still have ego. And it's a good question because I'm not sure what that role is going to be. I know choice is very important and the struggle is very important for us humans long term, in terms of what this planet Earth is going to do and the whole cosmos. But the suicide piece, I really see it dying out. I really seeing it dying out. Bad choice of words, maybe. I see it petering out, fading out.
I wanted to comment about the rating system of movies like PG-13 and how I felt like that was outdated. I've been sharing the book with my girls who are in 4th grade and 7th grade, and just recognizing that you wrote about suicide in a very tactful way where it didn't dwell on the tormented details of it, but it showed this connection between needing love and acceptance, and how we run to romance or to other things to fill the void that we're trying to get from our parents first and then from our creator. And so I felt like that was a very profound message that everyone will probably take in their own way, but for me it was also challenging to read as a bedtime story because they got too excited about it. So the routine I had intended kind of stopped in the middle. There are some deep reflection questions, and I don't know if my girls were ready to engage like at that level. So I think it's kind of cool how you have where adults can dig in and find their value in it, maybe differently than the youth too.
Thank you for bringing that up, because actually I wanted to show people those reflection questions that Kelly so brilliantly helped me compile at the end of the book. So if you choose to read the book, at the very end, there is a compiling of all of them, and I had it there, but it must have reset. So let me go back to it. And so all of the cosmic lessons, as well as the reflection, questions for reflection, the affirmations are all in the end of the book. So it's kind of, I'm going to just let that load as it goes. But so for you as a reader, you'll get to go back to them, and it's helpful for me as a teacher for my older students. For certain questions, I've been using some of them like, because my principal, who's wonderful, totally gives me the space to teach mindfulness. So when I'm done teaching science technology, I get to do a little mindfulness with them. So one of the questions, for instance, from chapter 1 or 2 is, have you ever felt like you were still experiencing a traumatic situation or difficult situation long after it happened, or you felt like you were still impacted? And man, if you could just hear the conversations that I got to have in the Socratic seminar with students based on that one question, it's so powerful. And what's really powerful for me as a teacher to know, and Kelly can relate to this as also a teacher, is sometimes you have to find that boundary. I can't go into those homes where I know something really traumatic, difficult is currently going on, but what I can do is make a difference in that class and have those conversations. And even if it's just that conversation, there's no other action, that could be that ripple that is needed for that student to choose a new path, to choose something that is distinct from repeating the cycles of trauma. So I'll show you guys those reflection questions if I have time at the end, but I wanted to get to the last part here really quick, and then we'll have another set of discussions before we close. Chapter 3, here's the art for it that I made. And chapter 3 is titled, Who Are We? The affirmation is, we are Markovic travelers of the cosmic seas. And the cosmic lesson demonstrated in the chapter is using the power of activating the rainbow light body. So I'm going to read this chapter, not the whole chapter, a part of it, and also show you my SoundCloud, which anyone can check out. There's a cosmic playlist on there with meditations, light language, and poetry, as well as songs related to the book that anyone can listen to, even if they haven't read the book. It'll still be powerful. So I'll just go ahead and read a section of this chapter. Linear time year, 2025. Locations, Crestone, Colorado, and Planet Mu. The 7 sisters formed into a sacred circle and closed their eyes. Standing tall with their palms all facing towards the center, they visualized a point of light in their third eye, and then a beam of platinum light from their hand chakras. After several minutes of standing meditation, Jade spoke with heart-centered power. Sisters, prepare to invoke your affirmation of reality. Remember that you have to be as clear as you can about your soul mission and who you are in order for us to open up space-time and for our mission to be successful today. We will invoke the affirmations and visualize the portal opening. I love you all, and may our cross-galaxy journey be a safe one. Violetta, please start, and we will move from our collective crown chakra to our root chakra. We will repeat the affirmations 3 times in a row, and our collective affirmation in unison, and then, if it is the right time, the portal to our destination will open. Violetta Aurelia stepped forward toward the center of the circle with her hands on top of her head. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and declared out loud, I know. Sierra Indigo proclaimed as she had both index fingers between her eyebrows. I see. I speak, Azul Deniz sang out in melodic overtone while holding her hands in front of her throat. Jade Kelly Amare stood forward again and spoke her truth while holding her heart chakra. I love. I do, Xanthi Grace called out without hesitation as both her hands laid on her solar plexus. Hannah Otan held her belly and spoke slowly, symbolizing the essence of her affirmation. I feel. Andromeda rested one hand on her tailbone and one hand on her pubic bone and spoke with divine neutrality. I am. They repeated with increasing power and speed. You can feel free to join along as well. I know, I see, I speak, I love, I do, I feel, I am. I know, I see, I speak, I love, I do, I feel, I am. Their invocations united in melodic resonance. Speaking as one voice, they faced their palms towards the center of the sacred circle again. We know who we are. We are here to manifest one of the infinite timelines where we choose peace on earth in our lifetimes. Jade knew they were pure of heart and intent. She held this knowingness strongly in the center of her heart, just as her fellow sisters held their unshakable confidence. She could sense a cord of light connecting her from the heart of the earth to the heavens. A stillness filled the air. Time seemed to be taking a pause. Then, like a 0-point generator activating all at once, light emerged from each of the sisters' leading chakras, traveled through their hands, and lovingly collided within the center. They activated their 0-point field within to activate the field outside of their bodies. It formed a beautiful toroidal shape around each person and around the group as a whole. The field manifested by the 7 sisters emanated a beautiful rainbow light. In the center, a portal opened. I'm going to stop there and quickly share a clip of a song related to that, and you can enjoy the affirmations again in a musical sense. And as I'm pulling it up, just want to remind that the book is available on Amazon, on Kindle, and a paperback. And I just got the French version finished translating. So a wonderful friend of mine in France just finished translating it. So I'll be getting the paperback French version going, as well as the English audiobook, which I'm recording of the first book, will be coming out later this year, as well as Cosmic 2.2, which will be a follow-on that'll dive a lot deeper in a lot of things that I didn't go in detail in the first book and continue the story. So I'm going to just play just a part of the Cosmic Sisters song, which I bookmark footnote in that chapter we just read. So you can find this on my SoundCloud. Let me actually share. I wonder if you guys can hear that well. Kelly, how can you hear that? Does that sound okay? Okay, I'll just do it that way then. Awesome. Just checking the time, I'm not gonna keep going on it, but again, you can find that on my SoundCloud. And there's also, as you can see here on the SoundCloud, several other things. Like my mom actually created a beautiful light language, which is literally language of the heart, of emotion, not really to be understood but felt. And oftentimes originates from channeling information and energy from cosmic family or ET beings. So she actually created a Pleiadian Lemurian love song for Gaia, which is referenced in chapter 4 when Jade has a transcendental experience with dolphins, based on an experience I really had with dolphins. And then a lot of other poems, songs, and affirmations and meditations that you can find here in the Cosmic playlist on my SoundCloud. So thank you all so much for engaging. I want to end by just hearing anything you guys all may want to share that was brought up for you during this conversation. I'm just so grateful to have the space and time to be able to share with you today about Cosmic and be able to create this vision together of a positive, a resonant reality for humanity. So I'd love to just open it up for anyone else who would like to share anything at all.
I did want to share that when I first tried Ho'oponopono, this Hawaiian word, I felt kind of intimidated about getting it right. And then when I finally got out of my head and really meditated about it, I was able to see some beautiful visions of healing. And so I'm grateful that you introduced it in such an interesting way. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. I didn't get to read that part of the book, but Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian affirmation that means I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And it's brought a lot of healing to my life. And with my son's dad, who passed away, died by suicide, despite everything happened the way it did, I felt so at peace that using that as well as many other tools, I was able to come to a place of forgiveness and love despite really difficult things that happen in that relationship. To, like Angelina said, seeing ourselves in one and others, and not just seeing people as this dark force or this bully or us as a victim, but seeing ourselves as one with them, and what is it that I can forgive in myself and in them to create more energy and more freedom, because truly forgiveness creates so much freedom. So thanks for sharing that, Kelly, that it has helped you despite it was intimidating at first.
I want to say thank you, Meral. Thank you very much. It's lovely to know you are in the schools. My heart is happy to hear that you are working with young people who need to feel like they can be visionaries instead of problems, and that there is a way through all of this, and it's part of our choice to be here. I'm so grateful for what you've shared today, and just keep the fire burning, girl. We are very proud of you.
Thank you, Marcia. I'm also grateful to be with students, and it means a lot to be given that trust, and also to be in the community I am at Public School for Arts and Sciences, Fulton Heights. They're a really beautiful family and community, and I just have an admin team that is super open-minded, and that really allows me to feel like I could be myself so that other students can be themselves too. And lastly, because I said I'd show you, these were just the collection of the affirmations, as well as the chapter by chapter lessons and journaling prompts for reflection that are all collected at the end of the book and also throughout the book. So you'll find that at the end of the book if you choose to read it. One that I use with my student recently is, have you ever doubted yourself because you're worried about what people might think of you? So the questions range from pretty deep, talking about asking questions about some pretty cutting edge topics, to also just some very basic questions that I think we can all relate to. So love if you guys check those out and actually share with me, reach out to me what your reflections are if you choose to.
You know, Meral, I hope you're thinking in terms of keeping track of the response of young people to your book, and almost like a research, what is helping them, what do they respond most to, what do they need, and carrying your work further.
That would be interesting. Maybe between you and Kelly, you can help me think of a way to actually do that.
I think in terms of what do our children need, and let this book be a spark.
Yes, yeah. Will it do what I hope? And how can we track what parts of it are really providing what is needed, and what else can we grow in? Yeah,
And-
thanks.
And I'm going to add something to that. Excellent. People are very, the energy in the air is there. We have shifted. And how do I know that? The people I teach, the groups I teach with, a lot of them have mental illness. A lot of them have been in that hospital for a very long time. They do get some exposure through TV and things, but they are so ready for this deeper truth. Don't ever doubt that. And to take these key questions for the teens and for the young people, as well as older people too, and to open up the door of conversation within the context of our truth, that we are these magnificent beings. You know, we all have these questions, but let's work through this to get to the other side, because the other side exists. It's reality. It's not a myth. It's not make believe. It's not some, you know, high or stoned person imagining this stuff. But my patients are as ready to hear that they are these beautiful beings of light, as I would imagine the children are. So don't ever doubt that. Don't ever doubt that within that framework. Go boldly forth, figure out your system of recording that, because these questions are so important. but the context of the question and what you provide in terms of solution. I'm going to say solution. I'm asking a question. I'm in the dark. I don't know. But then the light is there and you're connecting to the light. You're connecting to the light. You're connecting to the light. And the light is connected to everybody else. And that is a wonderful, wonderful process. It's a wonderful process. So don't ever doubt yourself on that. It's really needed.
Yeah, thank you for sharing about your patients, because they, on an anomaly in a sense, they're in that different environment, and it seems to be indicating like that 100th monkey theory of we're all shifting together, no matter if you're living on a desert island by yourself, you would probably still be experiencing a similar shift, because we're all feeling that shift in electromagnetism in our Earth's field, and within ourselves and our community, on the physical level, and then at the higher level, for those that resonate with the concept, we're just so aware, at least at the subtle level for sure, that this is not all there is, and that we don't have to settle for less. We don't have to settle for seeing our fellow brother, sister, human on the street, living on the sidewalk. We don't have to keep settling for that. And I know that, especially like you're saying, the students feel the weight of that pressure of like, okay, I think that I'm supposed to change this. And so what I've been trying to do is bring this empowerment of like, yes, you get to change this, not like a burden to you. It's a choice, and you could either continue to choose to continue things as they are, or you get to have the opportunity to shift and transform the world. Awesome. Well, I know we're at the end of our time. Would anyone else like to share anything before we close?
Gregory, did you have an announcement that you wanted to
Yeah,
make?
I was just it's actually kind of poignant. I lived in Japan for 10 years, and in Japan, a flower bloom is celebrated at the highest levels, and actually there are national holidays for such experiences. And as you all know, I'm fondly attached to our national treasure, Resolana Farms, the peony garden here in Pueblo, which when I first arrived about 10 years ago, I realized that not a lot of people knew the memorial peony bouquet tradition, which peonies bloom depending upon where you are, but in Colorado, here at our elevation, they always generally bloom just before Memorial Day weekend, hence the memorial peony bouquet. And Pueblo families traditionally would always collect them. And for Memorial Day, they would take those bouquets out to the cemeteries to celebrate, those who passed before. So unfortunately, I was on the phone with the family again today, because last year they had closed. They're going to be closed again this year, which saddens my heart, but we are going to secure 10,000 peony blooms, and we're going to make them available in a very special way in downtown Puebla. We're working on it right now. But this is really important too, because the Memorial Day holiday is also the entree to June 3rd and 4th, which are the big I shouldn't say celebrations, they're commemorations. The 100th anniversary, the commemoration of the Pueblo flood. And that is also the opening of the Pueblo Levee Promenade and the new bridges. So all of that is opening up. So these blooms are hoping we'll be able to bring them in as part of that celebration, that renewal, and it will then serve as a beacon of hope for the next 100 years. So I'll just continue to update you. That just was live today. I was so saddened, but then we all thought, now we got to get the 10,000 blooms. So we're working on that. So stay tuned. So
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. As you're talking, I found their GoFundMe to support them, so I'll definitely share that out.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, one other announcement, just to remind everybody, Melinda Chichester is May 2nd, the first Sunday in May, and her presentation is going to be called My Father, My Greatest Teacher, Being a Death Doula with Family. And I had made a promise to some friends that are at a drum circle taking place right now that I would give them a shout out, because they wanted to connect our circles. They're meeting at the exact same time as this conscious community circle. And just so that we can remember that there's many circles gathering in the name of love and wellness and what's possible for us going forward. And so just thinking about all the circles that you bring with you and how we are connecting in so many ways. And so whenever this presentation lands in your world and you have a chance to listen and connect with the messages, just feel that we are looking for you. We are looking for people who are looking for us. I like to say that a lot because it's weaving the energies. And so thank you, Meral, for the way that you are such a loving and charismatic weaver of the energetic with the energetic loom. You have found so many creative ways to do that, and just really also showing other people how to do that by you really allowing yourself to be who you are and shine. You definitely teach me, like, just let it shine. And so it's been really great to have you here, and thank you everybody for being here, sharing your time, bringing your heart energy so that we can amplify, as the Celestine prophecies talked about, amplifying what we are intending to nourish right now. And is there anything else? I feel like that's kind of a wrap. So thank you everybody for being here. It was great, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for
Thank you,
including me.
Laura.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm glad you're out there doing your stuff too, Meral. Great show.
Thank you, Einar.
Whew.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Angelina.
All right.